Hey lovely souls, welcome back to another heart-touching love story that'll warm your heart even in the coldest snow. If you're someone who believes that love isn't always found, sometimes it's created through kindness, then this story is for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another emotional and unforgettable love journey. Now, let's dive into this magical Christmas story. These are main characters of the story. Ilara Vennet, a 29-year-old humanitarian photographer from Brighton, UK. She has spent the last 5 years documenting stories of hope and resilience from around the world. Quiet, compassionate, and brave, she believes Christmas is more about giving than receiving. Luca Moretti, a 33-year-old Italian architect from Florence, known for designing homes that combine art and warmth. He hides his loneliness behind charm and humor, still mourning the loss of his younger sister, who passed away on Christmas Eve years ago. Marge Hensley, a 65-year-old retired nurse from Boston who travels every Christmas to volunteer at shelters. A wise soul with a twinkle in her eye and stories that could fill 1,000 snowflakes. Aidan Cole, a 10-year-old boy traveling alone to meet his father for Christmas after his parents' separation. Curious, shy, and holding a letter to Santa he refuses to mail, believing Santa stopped listening when his parents split. The story beginning of an unexpected Christmas and the announcement echoed across the airport terminal like a sigh of defeat. All flights are cancelled until further notice due to severe weather conditions. Hundreds groaned, some cursed, some laughed nervously. But Ilara Vennet simply closed her eyes and smiled faintly. She had seen worse in the refugee camps of Sudan. A snowstorm was just nature reminding her, you can't control everything. She sat near gate C-23, wrapped in a woolen red scarf, sipping lukewarm coffee, scrolling through pictures she'd taken of smiling children in war-torn places. She whispered softly, at least they had hope. Not far away, Luca Moretti was pacing restlessly, phone glued to his ear. Mama, I promise I'll be there for Christmas dinner. Yes, I know. I know, the pasta will get cold. He chuckled softly, hiding the ache in his heart. He hadn't spent a Christmas with family since Sophia died. Every year, he'd find an excuse to be elsewhere. The storm outside howled louder, snow pelting the glass like tiny fists. The airport grew colder, dimmer, quieter, except for one sound. A soft sniffle. Ilara turned to see Aidan, the little boy sitting on the floor beside his small backpack, hugging his teddy bear tight. His eyes glistened, but he tried to hide it. Hey there, she said gently, kneeling beside him. You okay, little man? He shrugged. My flight's gone. Dad said he'd be waiting at the gate. But the gate's closed. Ilara's heart tightened. Maybe you can wait with me? I've got cookies. He nodded slowly, eyes lighting up. That's when Luca, walking past, noticed them. You're bribing kids with cookies now, he teased with an Italian accent that melted even the cold air. Ilara laughed. Only when it works. He grinned, his dimples appearing like magic. Then it's working very well. Moments later, Marge Hensley, with her Santa hat tilted sideways, joined them. You two look too young to be stuck in an airport alone on Christmas Eve, she said warmly. And too pretty to be miserable. Come on, I'm making a little Christmas corner by the vending machines. We'll call it Gate C-23 Cafe. The four of them sat together beneath flickering lights, surrounded by a few stranded travelers. They made cocoa from vending machine cups, shared stories, and laughed. But as the night deepened, something strange began happening. The power flickered. Once. Twice. Then everything went dark. Aiden gasped. The lights are gone. And in the reflection of the glass window, faint, almost ghostly, Elara saw something that made her heart skip. A shadow, moving outside the terminal doors. But no one could be out there. The snowstorm was too strong. Probably just the reflection, Luca said quickly, noticing her glance. But his voice had a tremor. When the emergency lights flickered back on, Aiden whispered, "It looked like Santa." Elara smiled gently, but Luca's eyes stayed on the glass, watching that faint shadow fade into the white. And that night, beneath the storm, for strangers shared not just warmth, but something deeper, a promise they didn't yet understand. A promise that before Christmas morning, their lives would change forever. The storm outside intensified, whipping snow like a white curtain against the glass. Inside, the terminal had gone quiet. Only the hum of emergency lights and the occasional creak of metal filled the air. Elara hugged her scarf tighter. "Maybe it's just a service worker," she said, trying to sound calm. But Luca's brow furrowed. "Service workers don't walk in blizzards like that." Marge, with her comforting grandmotherly tone, broke the tension. "Whatever it was, it's gone now. Let's make this place feel less like a ghost terminal and more like a Christmas haul, hmm?" She took out a small string of battery-powered fairy lights from her bag, the kind travelers bring to decorate hospital rooms or dorms. Within minutes, she had draped them over a pile of suitcases, transforming the corner into a cozy little haven. Aiden clapped his hands. "Now it looks like Christmas again." Luca smiled, easing into the soft glow. "You see? Leave it to a nurse to heal even the air around us." Elara, camera in hand, captured that moment, Marge laughing, Aiden smiling, Luca looking peaceful for the first time that night. She looked at the photo and whispered, "Maybe this is what I've been chasing, not tragedy, but humanity." Around 1 a.m., a low rumble echoed through the airport, like a door slamming far away. Everyone froze. "I thought all the gates were locked," Elara murmured. Luca stood. "I'll go check." Marge grabbed his arm. "You're not going alone, son. Take her with you." Elara hesitated, then nodded. Together, they walked toward the far end of the terminal where the sound had come from. Their footsteps echoed softly. They reached gate B17, the only gate partially open. The cold seeped through the gap, sending shivers up their spines. On the ground near the door lay something small, a folded piece of paper, wet from melting snow. Elara picked it up and opened it. Inside was a simple note, written in hurried, shaky handwriting. "Help them before midnight. The boy must not be alone again this Christmas." She looked at Luca, her heart pounding. "What does that even mean?" He took the note and frowned. "It's nonsense, maybe someone dropped it." But deep down, both of them felt something strange, as if the note wasn't just found, it was meant for them. Back at gate C23, Marge had gathered a few stranded travelers, an elderly couple, a soldier heading home, a mother with her baby, and was telling stories of her Christmases in the hospital. "Once," she said softly, "we had a patient who hadn't spoken in months. On Christmas Eve, we sang Silent Night, and he whispered one word, hope. That's all it takes, sometimes. Just hope." Elara sat beside her, clutching the mysterious note. "Hope," she echoed. Aiden, now dozing off beside his teddy, stirred. Do you think Santa knows we're here? Marge smiled. If Santa's real, sweetheart, he doesn't care where you are, only that you still believe. But Luca wasn't listening. His gaze was fixed on the snow outside. He thought he saw faint footprints, appearing one by one in the snow, leading toward the edge of the runway. He blinked. The prints vanished. As the night drew on, Elara and Luca found themselves sitting together, separated from the small group by a few empty chairs. You're too calm for someone stuck in an airport during a blizzard, Luca said, half smiling. I've been through worse, she replied, sipping her coffee. When you've seen people lose everything, you stop worrying about delays. He tilted his head. You travel for work? I photograph stories, the kind most people avoid. Wars, disasters, recovery. Ah, so you collect sadness. She smiled faintly. No. I collect hope that survives sadness. Luca looked down at his hands. My sister used to say things like that. His voice broke slightly. She died on Christmas Eve. Car accident. Since then, I just avoid December. I build things for others to live in but can't find a home myself. Elara reached out, touching his hand gently. Maybe this Christmas, you were meant to be stranded. Maybe, you're supposed to find something here. He looked up, eyes glistening. And what are you supposed to find, Elara? She hesitated. Maybe, forgiveness. For myself. Silence hung between them, soft, fragile, but filled with something beautiful. Outside, the snow began to slow. The storm was easing. But then, Aiden suddenly jolted awake, eyes wide in terror. He pointed at the window. He's back. Elara and Luca turned. And there, just outside the glass, standing motionless in the snow, was a figure in a red coat, face hidden by a hood, holding a lantern that flickered like a dying flame. For a moment, no one moved. The figure stood completely still, wrapped in a thick red coat, a hood covering the face, snow swirling around the glowing lantern in their hand. The light flickered, dimmed, then flared bright again, casting long shadows across the terminal floor. Aiden pressed closer to Marge, whispering, "Is it Santa?" Marge smiled faintly, her voice trembling. I don't know, sweetheart. But whoever it is, they shouldn't be out there. Luca rose immediately, his instinct to act stronger than his fear. We can't just leave someone outside. They'll freeze. Elara caught his arm. Wait, we don't know who it is. The snow's still deep, and that note. He cut her off gently. Elara, if it were you out there, I'd want someone to come. Those words struck her like warmth in the cold. She hesitated, then nodded. Then we go together. The doors groaned open, releasing a blast of icy air that bit into their skin. The cold hit like a wall, the kind that burns the lungs. They trudged through knee-deep snow toward the figure, who now seemed to be slowly walking away, deeper into the blizzard's fog. Hey! Wait! Luca called, his voice barely audible through the wind. The figure stopped. Slowly turned. Elara could barely make out the face beneath the hood, pale, almost luminous under the lantern light. There was something familiar about it, though she couldn't explain why. Are you okay? Luca shouted again. The figure raised one gloved hand and pointed, toward the far end of the tarmac, where a small service building stood half buried in snow. Then, without a word, the lantern's light went out. And the figure was gone. Vanished. They reached the small structure moments later, a service shed, half hidden behind snowbanks. Inside, through a cracked window, a faint glow flickered. Elara pushed the door open cautiously. The warm light came from a portable heater. Beside it sat an elderly man wrapped in an airport blanket, shivering, his lips pale. "Oh my God," Elara gasped. "He must have been trapped out here when the storm hit." Luca knelt beside him. "Sir, can you hear me?" The man stirred weakly. I tried to get help. Slipped, couldn't move." Elara quickly took off her coat and wrapped it around him. "You're safe now. We'll get you back inside." They half carried, half dragged him back toward the terminal, the snow crunching under their boots. When they reached the doors, Marge and Aiden ran to help. "What happened?" Marge asked. Elara caught her breath. "He was trapped in the service shed. We wouldn't have found him unless..." She stopped mid-sentence, looking at Luca. He finished softly, "Unless that figure led us there." Marge's eyes widened. "A Christmas angel, maybe?" No one spoke for a long moment. The only sound was the man's faint breathing and the wind outside. Later, after airport staff took the rescued man to the first aid room, Elara sat quietly, scrolling through the photos she'd taken earlier. She froze. There, in one of the pictures from before the power outage, behind Luca and Aiden, stood a faint blur of red. A shape. A silhouette. She zoomed in. It wasn't a reflection. It was the same figure with the lantern. And beneath the blur, something strange, a reflection of an airplane gate sign that read B-17. Her fingers trembled. "Luca," she whispered, showing him the photo. "This isn't just someone walking outside. This is connected." He studied it, then looked into her eyes. "Maybe it's trying to tell us something." Elara leaned closer. "That note said, 'Help them before midnight.' What if there's someone else still out there?" Marge overheard, her tone calm but firm. "Before you go chasing ghosts, sit and eat something warm. If fate has something to show you, it'll come to you, not the other way around." But the way she said it, slow, knowing, made Elara wonder if Marge had seen something too. Midnight approached. The terminal lights flickered back to life as the storm weakened outside. Elara sat beside Aiden, who had fallen asleep again, his teddy bear nestled under his arm. The rescued man rested nearby, stable now. She whispered to herself, "Help them before midnight." Luca sat beside her. "You did. You helped him." Maybe that was the message. She looked at him, really looked, and realized something had shifted. The warmth she felt wasn't from the heater. It was from him. Their eyes met. And for a heartbeat, the chaos of the night faded. Snow still fell outside, soft and endless, but inside, a new kind of warmth began to grow. Then, suddenly, the airport intercom crackled. "Attention passengers, due to ongoing weather conditions, we ask all travelers to remain in designated areas until sunrise. Please stay calm and safe." Elara exhaled. "Looks like we're spending Christmas Eve right here." Luca smiled softly. "Then let's make it the best one we can." And as they shared a quiet laugh, the reflection of the terminal window shimmered again, the faint outline of a lantern's light passing by one last time. The airport had turned into a quiet world of its own. Snow piled high outside, muffling every sound. Inside, the few stranded passengers had built a strange kind of comfort: vending machine cocoa, shared snacks, and stories whispered under flickering lights. Marge Hensley had draped a blanket over Aiden and was humming softly. Her voice trembled but carried warmth, like an old carol that never forgot its melody. Across from her, Elara and Lucas sat close, watching the snow. For the first time, their laughter wasn't forced. There was something real in the silence between them, something fragile and growing. Elara smiled faintly. "You know, I never thought I'd spend Christmas trapped in an airport with strangers." Luca chuckled. "Strangers today, maybe not tomorrow." She looked at him. "Are you always this charming?" "Only when I'm trying to forget how lost I actually am." The words hung between them, honest, heavy, but sincere. As the clock struck 12:15 a.m., Aiden stirred in his sleep, the teddy bear slipping from his grasp. A folded paper fell from his backpack, worn, creased, with "To Santa" written in a child's uneven handwriting. Elara picked it up gently. "He must have forgotten this." Luca smiled. "Let's read it. Maybe Santa won't mind us helping him out." Elara hesitated, then opened it carefully. The letter read, "Dear Santa, please don't bring me toys this year. I just want my mom to smile again and my dad to come home for Christmas. I don't want to be alone at airports anymore. I'll be good forever if you can make it happen. Love. Aiden Cole." The paper shook in Elara's hands. "He's been carrying this all night." Luca's voice softened. "He believes Santa stopped listening. Maybe he thinks Christmas stopped listening too." Elara looked at Luca with tears in her eyes. "He shouldn't feel that way. Not a child." Luca took the letter gently and smiled faintly. "Then we make sure this wish comes true. Somehow." Fueled by that promise, the small group began to bring joy to others in the terminal. Elara used her camera to take Polaroids of everyone: the tired travelers, the mother with her baby, even the soldier heading home. She handed each photo to its subject, writing, "Merry Christmas, from Gate C-23, on the bottom." Luca started gathering leftover snacks and cups, setting up a small buffet table with Marge. She laughed as she tied napkins together to make a banner that read, "Hope Station." When Aiden woke, he blinked at the transformed terminal, eyes wide. "Did Santa do this?" Elara knelt beside him. "No," she said with a warm smile. "You did. Your letter made Christmas happen here." His smile was the kind that could melt any winter. "Really?" "Really," Luca said, placing a Santa hat on the boy's head. "You gave us all something to believe in again." Around 2 a.m., while everyone was busy sharing laughter, a faint sound echoed through the terminal, like the soft chime of bells. Elara looked up. The sound wasn't from inside. It was coming from outside in the snow. She glanced toward the glass doors. The snow had stopped. The world outside was still, almost glowing beneath the moonlight. And there, faintly visible, was the lantern again. It flickered once, twice, then began to move, this time toward the old man they had rescued earlier. Elara felt her breath catch. "Luca, look." He followed her gaze. The lantern's light danced across the floor until it faded right where the old man lay sleeping under his blanket. And then, As softly as it appeared, it vanished. When dawn began to lighten the sky, the old man stirred. His eyes fluttered open, blue and watery. Marge knelt beside him. "Morning, sir. You gave us quite a scare." He smiled weakly. "You saved my life." "Thank you." Elara leaned in. "We wouldn't have found you without that light." There was someone out there, in red, holding a lantern. The man's eyes widened slightly. "A lantern, you say?" He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a tiny, worn photograph. It showed a young woman and a little girl, both smiling, standing in the snow, holding that same lantern. "My wife and daughter," he whispered. "They passed away years ago. Every Christmas Eve, I used to light that lantern in their memory. I thought, maybe I'd see them again this year." Luca and Elara exchanged stunned looks. "Where's the lantern now?" Marge asked gently. The old man smiled faintly, eyes glistening. "I thought I brought it. But I guess I must have left it behind." Outside, in the snow, just beyond the glass doors, a faint golden glow shimmered, as if the lantern were still burning. Later that morning, the airport staff announced that flights were resuming. Travelers began to pack up. The terminal slowly came back to life. But Elara and Luca stayed still, watching Aiden play with his teddy, laughter filling the space like sunshine. Luca turned to her. "I think you were right. Sometimes, love finds us when we're not looking." Elara smiled softly. "And sometimes, it finds us when we're helping others." He took her hand gently, their fingers intertwining as the first real sunlight broke through the clouds. The lantern's reflection glowed one last time across the floor, as if blessing them all. And from somewhere deep in the silence, a faint whisper, a woman's voice, seemed to say, "Keep your promise." Elara looked at Luca, her heart full. "Whatever this is, it's only the beginning." The airport, once a place of panic and impatience, now felt strangely peaceful. The snow outside had stopped completely, turning the runways into endless silver fields. Inside Gate C-23, the little Hope station they'd built looked like a Christmas dream left behind. Coffee cups, half-eaten cookies, and a handmade paper star Aiden had crafted from old tickets. Elara woke first. The sunlight hit her face through the window, soft and golden. She smiled sleepily as she saw Luca, slumped on a chair across from her, still asleep, his head tilted back. For the first time in years, she felt calm. Not running, not photographing sadness, just being. She quietly took out her camera and captured the scene, the light, the snow, the boy sleeping peacefully, and Luca's face softened by morning glow. Then she whispered, "Maybe this is what I've been searching for all along, stillness." Around 8 a.m., the intercom buzzed to life. "Attention passengers, Flight 247 from Chicago has landed at Gate C-21. The announcement was ordinary, yet Aiden suddenly sat up, eyes wide. "That's my dad's flight," he exclaimed, clutching his teddy. Marge gasped. "Honey, are you sure?" He nodded eagerly. "He said he was flying from Chicago." "He's here." Elara's heart leapt. After everything that had happened, this felt like fate keeping its promise. She smiled. Go. Go find him, sweetheart." Aiden ran toward the arrivals area, his tiny boots squeaking on the floor. Elara and Luca followed behind, their hearts pounding with hope. The first passengers came through, tired faces, heavy coats, dragging suitcases. And then, a man in his late 30s stepped out, looking around frantically. He carried a worn duffel bag and a face filled with exhaustion and love. "Dad!" Aiden cried. The man froze, eyes filling instantly with tears. "Aiden?" The boy ran into his arms, and the man dropped to his knees, hugging him tightly. I thought your flight was cancelled." Aiden beamed through happy tears. "It was. But Santa helped. And Alara and Luca and Marge." The man looked up, meeting Alara's eyes. You watched over him?" Alara smiled softly. "We just kept him company." But Luca stepped forward. "No," he said gently. "He watched over all of us." As the reunion unfolded, Luca and Alara stepped back, giving them space. "You did it," Luca whispered. "You made his wish come true." Alara looked at him, the warmth in his voice making her chest tighten. "No, we did." There was a quiet pause, the kind that hums between two souls learning to speak the same language. He smiled faintly. "You know, if this were one of those holiday movies, this would be the part where we fall in love." She chuckled softly. "And what if it's not a movie?" He met her gaze, serious now. "Then maybe it's real." She felt her breath catch, not from surprise, but from recognition. Somewhere between snow and silence, they had both stopped being strangers. Just as they were about to turn back, a strange glow caught Alara's eye, outside, by the window near gate C23. The lantern was there again. It glowed brighter than before, steady and calm. She walked closer, drawn by something beyond logic. The old man, now awake and sitting nearby, followed her gaze. His eyes widened, and a tear rolled down his cheek. He whispered, "That's her light, my Clara's light." Alara turned to him. "Your wife?" He nodded slowly. "She promised me, before she passed, that as long as I lit that lantern, she'd guide me home. I think she kept her promise." The lantern's glow began to fade as sunlight filled the terminal. But before it vanished completely, its reflection touched everyone there, Aiden and his father hugging, Marge wiping her eyes, Luca standing close beside Alara. And just for a moment, it felt as though someone unseen was smiling through the light. Later that morning, as passengers prepared to board their rescheduled flights, the small group from gate C23 stood together, hesitant to part. Marge hugged them each in turn. "I've seen a lot of Christmas miracles in my life," she said, smiling through tears. "But this one had 4 names on it." The old man held Alara's hand. "Thank you, my dear. You didn't just save me. You reminded me that love doesn't end, it just changes its form." Alara's throat tightened. "I'll never forget this." As people began to board, Luca turned to her. "Where are you headed next?" She smiled softly. "I don't know yet. For once. I'm not planning ahead." He chuckled. "Then maybe let fate plan for you." Their hands brushed, light, hesitant, but full of meaning. Before Alara boarded her flight, she turned back. Luca stood by the window, watching the snow melt under the sun. She walked up to him. "Luca." He turned, his smile tender. She took out her Polaroid camera and handed him a photo, the one she took that morning, of him asleep under the light. On the bottom, she'd written, "Sometimes love begins where plans end. Elara." He looked at the picture, then at her. "Is this goodbye?" She shook her head. "No. Just a promise." They leaned closer, not a kiss, not yet, but something even more intimate, a quiet understanding that their hearts were already speaking. The intercom called her flight. She smiled, eyes glistening. "Merry Christmas, Luca." He whispered, "Merry Christmas, Elara." As she walked away, the lantern's faint reflection shimmered once more, glowing between them like the heartbeat of something eternal. Snowflakes drifted through the streets of Vienna, soft as whispers. Christmas lights shimmered across the river, painting gold on the frozen water. Elara adjusted her camera lens, focusing on the city's reflection. She'd come here chasing light, not fame, not assignments, but moments. Her photos had changed since that night in the airport. Gone were the lonely landscapes. Now, every frame held people, laughter, hope, connections. It was as if Aidan's smile had colored her world. But still, one face haunted the edges of her heart, Luca's. She never saw him again after that Christmas. No texts. No calls. Just the Polaroid she'd given him, and the words, "Sometimes love begins where plans end." Every December, she found herself looking for him, in strangers' faces, in winter markets, in passing smiles. But fate was silent. Until tonight. As she packed up her camera, faint music drifted from a nearby street, a violin, gentle and wistful. The melody felt strangely familiar. She turned toward the sound. At the corner of a small square stood a man, back turned to her, playing beneath falling snow. His notes danced with the wind, tender, melancholic, alive. Elara's breath caught. Could it be? The man's stance, the rhythm, it felt like déjà vu painted in music. She moved closer, her heartbeat syncing with the violin's hum. When he turned, her world stilled. It was him. Luca. The same kind eyes, the same soft smile, only this time, there was a quiet steadiness in him, as though the year had shaped him too. He froze mid-note. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the whole city disappeared. "Elara," he whispered, disbelief and wonder tangled in his voice. Neither moved for a heartbeat. Then she laughed, soft, trembling, real. "I thought I was dreaming." He lowered his violin, smiling shyly. "You're not the only one." She took a step forward. "Vienna? Of all places?" He chuckled. "Guess fate like scenic routes." Her laughter broke the tension, and soon they found themselves walking along the river, snow crunching underfoot. They spoke of the past year, how Luca had gone back to writing music after years of silence, inspired by that Christmas night. "How about you?" he asked. "Did you ever stop running?" She nodded. "I learned that sometimes, stillness takes you further than movement ever could." He smiled. "That sounds like something you'd write on a Polaroid." They stopped by a bridge, lights twinkling in the water below. Luca reached into his coat pocket. "I kept something." He pulled out the Polaroid, the same one she'd given him last Christmas. Its edges were worn, but her handwriting was still clear. "Sometimes love begins where plans end." Elara's throat tightened. "You kept it all this time?" He nodded. "It reminded me not to wait for perfect timing, just the right feeling." Then he handed her a small folded note. Your turn to keep something. She opened it. Inside was a photo of her, taken secretly at the airport, smiling at Aiden and his father as they reunited. At the bottom, he'd written, "Sometimes love begins when kindness finds its mirror." Luca. Tears blurred her vision. "That's beautiful," she whispered. He smiled softly. "So are you." The wind picked up, swirling snow around them like the world's soft applause. Elara looked at him through the flurry. "You know, every time it snowed this year, I thought of that night. Of you." He took her hand, fingers intertwining naturally. "Funny," he said. "Every time it snowed, I played this melody, the one you just heard. I called it, The Lantern's Light." "The lantern," she murmured. "You remember?" "How could I forget? It brought all of us together." Their eyes locked, and time seemed to slow, the city lights blurring behind them, snow falling like stardust. Then, gently, he leaned forward. And under the soft hush of snow, their lips met, not rushed, not dramatic, just inevitable. It felt like the year itself exhaled. When they finally pulled apart, she laughed quietly, breath visible in the cold air. "So what now?" He grinned. "Now? We don't plan. We just see where the snow takes us." She smiled, eyes bright. "Then lead the way, maestro." He offered his arm, and together they walked into the light, the sound of distant bells echoing behind them. Above, the first star of Christmas Eve shimmered, faint, but steady, as if remembering the promise made long ago in an airport full of strangers. And somewhere, perhaps in a place beyond the snow and time, a lantern flickered once more. Weeks passed after their reunion. Vienna seemed brighter, almost alive around them. Every day brought something new, morning walks through the cobblestone lanes, late-night music sessions where Luca played and Elara took photos of him lost in rhythm. They rented a small attic apartment overlooking Mariahilfer Strasse, filled with books, plants, and light that streamed through old glass windows. It wasn't perfect, they didn't have much, but it was theirs. One evening, as snow fell quietly outside, Luca sat at his piano, scribbling notes for a new composition. Elara watched him, camera resting in her lap. "You're obsessed with this piece," she teased gently. He smiled. "It's not just a piece. It's our story. I want it ready before Christmas Eve, the one-year mark of the night we met." She tilted her head, smiling. "You're turning our chaos into music?" He winked. "Chaos sounds beautiful when you find the right notes." They laughed, unaware that destiny was once again weaving something beyond their sight. The next morning, Elara received an unexpected call from her photography agency in London. Her last portfolio, Faces of Kindness, had gone viral. It was being featured in an international exhibit. They wanted her there for interviews, events, collaborations, a huge opportunity. But there was one problem. The exhibition started on December 22nd, and she'd have to stay for at least 2 weeks. Christmas. Her heart sank. That night, as she sat beside Luca, listening to him play softly, she hesitated to tell him. She didn't want to break the fragile peace they'd built. But Luca noticed the heaviness in her silence. "What's wrong?" he asked. She looked up, meeting his gentle eyes. "London called. They want me there for Christmas." He froze, hands stilling on the piano keys. "Oh. It's a big chance, Luca," she said quietly. It could open doors I've only dreamed of. He nodded, trying to smile. Of course. You should go. His tone was calm, supportive, but behind it, she sensed the ache he tried to hide. Luca, she said softly, I'll come back. It's just a few weeks. He looked at her, eyes glinting in the dim light. I know. But sometimes, a few weeks can change everything. Days turned into countdowns. Elara prepared for her trip, each suitcase zip feeling heavier than the last. They spent her final night before departure on the rooftop, wrapped in a blanket, watching the stars over the city. You remember the lantern? She asked suddenly. Luca smiled faintly. How could I forget? Do you think it was real? That it actually meant something? He turned toward her, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I think it found us because we needed light, and now, maybe it's reminding us to carry it ourselves. She leaned into him, silent, heart full and aching at once. When she finally boarded her flight the next morning, she left a note on his piano. Finish our song. I'll listen for it wherever I am. Luca found it hours later. He read it once, twice, and then pressed the paper against his heart. He sat at the piano. The melody flowed, tender, wistful, full of everything he couldn't say. Outside, the first snow of the season began to fall again. In London, Elara's days were filled with interviews, gallery lights, and endless people praising her work. But every night, she found herself watching the snow outside her window, missing the quiet rhythm of Luca's piano. One night, after a long day, she received a small email from him. Subject: The Lantern's Light, Final Draft. Attached was an audio file. She hesitated before pressing play. Then, the familiar sound of Luca's violin filled her hotel room. It began softly, the same melody from Vienna, but this time, it carried a heartbeat, a pulse of hope and longing. Halfway through, faintly, she heard her laughter woven into the composition, recorded from one of their old videos. She covered her mouth, tears falling freely. At the end of the song, Luca's voice whispered, Wherever you are, this is home. That same night, as Elara looked out the window of her hotel in London, something caught her eye, a single lantern drifting across the sky, glowing faintly through the falling snow. Her heart stopped. It was the lantern. The same shape, the same soft gold hue. It floated past her window, slow and silent, as though carrying a message from miles away. She whispered through tears, Luca. In that moment, somewhere back in Vienna, Luca stood at the window of their attic apartment, watching the same lantern drift by, carried by the same winter wind. He smiled faintly, whispering into the night. Until Christmas Eve, my love. And though distance stretched between them, the snow, as always, remembered. Snow fell thick and fast over the Thames, muffling the sounds of the city. London was glowing, carolers by lampposts, shop windows twinkling with gold and red, laughter spilling from cafes. But in the heart of it all, Elara stood alone beneath a street lamp, camera in hand, heart heavy with longing. She had spent the last hour at her exhibit, surrounded by people admiring her photographs, calling her name, offering praise. Yet, in the crowd of smiles, she felt hollow. She stared at one of her own photos, a picture she'd taken a year ago in the airport, a small lantern glowing in a stranger's hand. Beside the photo, the title read, Where Hope Waited. A journalist had asked earlier, what does the lantern mean to you? Elara had only smiled faintly. It means someone's waiting for me. Now, as she stepped outside into the snow, she whispered into the night, "Please, don't let him stop waiting." Meanwhile, in Vienna, Luca stood at the train station, ticket in hand. He had planned to surprise her. He'd sold a song to a studio, his first official composition, and used the money to buy a flight to London. But a snowstorm had grounded every plane out of Austria that morning. Hours of waiting turned to disappointment. By late afternoon, he sat alone in the station cafe, his violin case at his side, staring at the snow swirling beyond the glass. A child nearby tugged at his coat. "Mister, are you sad because Santa's late?" Luca smiled faintly. "Something like that." The boy grinned. "My mama says Santa always finds a way. Maybe she will too." The words hit him like sunlight through clouds. He glanced at the departure board. One train was still running. To Paris. From there, he could take the night ferry to Dover and a train to London. He didn't think twice. He grabbed his violin and ran. The train to Paris was nearly empty, save for a few travelers clutching warm drinks and sleepy dreams. Luca sat by the window, watching the snowy countryside rush past. He played his violin quietly, the same melody he'd written for Ilara. Each note carried his heartbeat, his hope, his fear that he might be too late. At one stop, an elderly woman sitting across from him smiled. "That's a love song, isn't it?" He nodded. "It's a promise." She reached into her bag and handed him a small paper lantern. "Then make sure you keep it." He looked at the lantern, delicate, golden, eerily similar to the one from a year ago. "Where did you get this?" he asked, startled. The woman smiled softly. "It found me once, when I was waiting for someone too." And before he could ask her more, she closed her eyes, as if lulled by the music. By midnight, Luca stood on the ferry deck as it cut across the dark waters of the channel. Snowflakes fell into the sea, melting instantly. He lit the lantern the woman had given him and whispered, "Guide me to her." The flame flickered, then burned steady. He smiled, closing his eyes against the wind. When he opened them again, he could almost see her, Ilara, somewhere in the distance, beneath the same stars. Ilara wandered toward the tower bridge, camera strap looped around her wrist. Her breath fogged in the air as she looked across the frozen river. Then she saw it. A faint golden light, drifting above the water, a lantern. Her heart raced. It was floating toward her, glowing brighter as it neared. She stepped closer to the railing, tears gathering in her eyes. "Luca," she whispered. At that very moment, a man's voice called from behind her, low, tired, but unmistakably his. "Ilara?" She froze. Then turned. There he was, breathless, snow-dusted, holding his violin case in one hand and a lantern in the other. She couldn't move. Neither could he. Then she ran to him. He dropped everything and caught her in his arms, laughter and tears mingling in the icy air. "You, how?" she stammered between sobs. He smiled through exhaustion. Trains, ferries, miracles, and maybe a little Christmas magic. They stood on the bridge, snow swirling around them like confetti. The lantern glowed between them, warm and steady. "I thought I lost you again," she whispered. "You could never lose me," he said softly. "We promised, remember? Every Christmas, no matter where we are, we find each other." She smiled through tears. You really kept that promise. He brushed a snowflake from her cheek. You taught me how. Then, under the quiet glow of the lantern, he kissed her, deeply, tenderly, as Big Ben chimed midnight behind them. Christmas Day had arrived. And the snow, remembered once more. Later that morning, Luca performed his song live at Alara's exhibition, The Lantern's Light. Crowds stopped to listen. Cameras flashed. But to them, there was no one else in the world. As he played, Alara lifted her camera and took a single photo of Luca, the lantern glowing beside him, the snow falling like blessings from the sky. That photo would become her most famous piece. Its title: A Christmas Promise. And beneath it, a small inscription only Luca understood. The snow remembers the hearts it falls upon. The winter after that miraculous Christmas was gentle and kind to them. Luca and Alara moved into a small apartment in Notting Hill, painted in soft creams and warm wood. There were fairy lights along the ceiling, Polaroids pinned on the walls, and the faint scent of cinnamon from Alara's morning tea. Luca set up his piano near the window, where he could watch the snow when he played. Alara had her studio corner filled with photographs, laughter, faces, and moments that told silent stories. It wasn't perfect, but it was home. Every morning began the same way. She brewed coffee, he played something soft. Every night ended the same, him humming, her listening, the world quiet except for the sound of music and camera shutters. They were happy, beautifully, tenderly, simply happy. But happiness, like snow, can melt quietly without you noticing. One evening, as Luca tuned his violin, his phone rang. It was a call from New York Philharmonic, one of the most prestigious orchestras in the world. They'd heard The Lantern's Light and wanted him to come for a 6-month artist residency. It was everything he'd ever dreamed of. He looked across the room at Alara, who was editing her photos, laughter soft in her eyes. His heart swelled with love and fear. When he told her, her reaction was pure joy. "Oh, Luca! That's incredible!" But behind her excitement, something flickered, the same ache she'd once felt when she left for London. He saw it. She saw that he saw it. 6 months isn't forever, he said quietly. She nodded. No. But it's half a year apart. Silence fell, tender, uneasy. They both knew how hard distance could be. But they also knew what it had once taught them, that love doesn't fade when miles stretch between two hearts, unless you let it. As weeks passed, the day of his departure grew closer. Alara threw herself into her photography projects, trying not to think about empty mornings or quiet nights. Luca practiced longer, his music becoming more intense, not out of passion, but the fear of what he might be losing. One night, she found him sitting at the piano, staring blankly at the keys. "Luca," she whispered. He looked up, eyes weary. "What if we can't hold on this time?" She walked over, kneeling beside him. "You once crossed countries in a snowstorm to find me. I think we can handle 6 months." He smiled weakly. "What if I come back and everything's changed?" She took his hand. "Then we start again. Like we always do. The snow will remember us." The morning of his flight, London was blanketed in white, soft, silent, and full of memories. At the airport, they stood by the glass window, hands intertwined. "I hate goodbyes," she said, forcing a smile. He kissed her forehead. "Then let's not make it one." He handed her a small music box. When you miss me, open it. She turned the tiny key. The melody that filled the air made her breath catch, the lantern's light. Tears filled her eyes. You recorded it? He nodded. It's yours now. Play it whenever it snows. She hugged him tightly, refusing to let go until the last call was announced. Promise you'll come back, she whispered. He smiled, brushing a tear from her cheek. Always. That's our Christmas promise. As he walked toward the gate, she stood watching until he disappeared into the crowd, her heart aching, yet strangely at peace. Weeks turned into months. Every few days, a letter arrived, sometimes a photograph from her, sometimes sheet music from him. She filled her journal with his words, his sketches, his jokes. But one letter came that was different. It was shorter, quieter. The music is loud here, but I keep searching for your silence in it. L. That night, Elara sat by the window, snow falling gently outside, the music box open beside her. The melody filled the room like a heartbeat. She whispered into the night, "Come home soon." By June, Luca's residency had ended. His music had gained global attention, interviews, invitations, recognition. But amid the applause, he realized something simple: none of it mattered if she wasn't there to hear it. So, he returned home. When Elara opened the door that morning, she froze. He stood there, tired, smiling, carrying his violin and a single lantern. "You're early," she whispered, tears welling up. He shrugged. "The snow remembered me." She laughed through tears and ran into his arms. They stayed like that for a long time, no words, just warmth, breath, and the quiet reminder that love doesn't need grand gestures. Sometimes, it just needs someone who comes back. That night, Luca played for her, not a concert piece, not a melody for fame, just music for two hearts that had survived distance again. Elara took her camera and captured him once more, golden light spilling across his face. "Do you know what this picture will be called?" she said softly. He looked up. "What?" She smiled. "A home made of music." And as they sat together, the lantern flickering beside them, it felt as though the entire world had paused, holding its breath for the love that had endured through storms, silence, and snow. The morning sun peeked through the frosty windows of the inn, painting the room in gold and white. The storm had passed, leaving everything coated in a sparkling layer of snow. For the first time in years, Aurelia felt peace, not the kind that comes from silence, but the kind that comes from belonging. She turned to see Elias standing by the window, coffee in hand, gazing outside. His reflection shimmered faintly on the glass. "You know," he said softly, "I used to hate Christmas. It always reminded me of what I lost. But this year, it gave me something back." Aurelia smiled, stepping closer. "And what's that?" He looked at her, really looked at her, the same way he did that night at the airport when the world seemed to pause. "Hope," he said. "You gave me hope." They packed their things and returned to the airport later that day. Flights had resumed, and the terminal was once again buzzing with people, laughter, tears, announcements, and holiday music. It was like stepping back into the world they had paused for a single, magical night. But something had changed between them. They weren't strangers anymore. As they reached the gate, Aurelia's flight to Boston was finally boarding. Elias's to Vienna would depart an hour later. They stood facing each other in that familiar place, the same spot where fate had decided to collide their worlds. "So, this is goodbye," Aurelia said softly, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Maybe not," Elias replied with a quiet smile. "Maybe it's just, see you later." She laughed through the tears. "Do you really believe that?" "I do," he said. "Because I promised myself something last night, that I wouldn't let life pass me by anymore. That if love found me, I wouldn't run from it." Aurelia's breath caught. "And did it find you?" He stepped closer, his hand gently touching her cheek. "Yes," he whispered. "In the snow, in the storm, in every act of kindness we shared. It found me in you." She leaned forward, resting her forehead against his. The airport noise faded into silence. For a brief moment, it was just them, two souls who had found each other when neither was looking. "I'll write," Aurelia said, holding his hand tightly. "Promise?" "Promise." Their fingers lingered as she stepped away, her heart aching with a mix of joy and sadness. Elias watched her go until she disappeared into the crowd, the girl who had brought light into his darkest Christmas. He walked back to the window, the snow still falling lightly outside, and whispered, "Merry Christmas, Aurelia." In the heart of Boston, the city shimmered with the soft glow of early summer. Aurelia sat at a cafe table, sketching the snowy cabin from memory. The smell of espresso and fresh pastries filled the air. A small bell chimed as the door opened, and she didn't even look up, until a familiar voice spoke. "Still drawing the snow?" Her pencil froze mid-line. Slowly, she looked up. Elias stood there, smiling, holding a bouquet of white lilies. "You're late," she whispered, tears welling up. "I promised I'd find you," he said. "And I always keep my promises." She stood, trembling with emotion, and before a single word more could be said, she ran into his arms. The cafe fell away, all that existed was warmth, love, and the sound of a promise fulfilled. As the camera pans out, the snow begins to fall once more, even in summer. Aurelia and Elias stand hand in hand, laughing beneath the flurries, their love defying reason and time. A gentle voice echoes their first vow together. Sometimes, the greatest love stories aren't written in passion or fate, but in kindness, promises, and snow. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes in love that begins with kindness. Have you ever met someone unexpectedly who changed your life forever? Tell us your story in the comments. Maybe your love story began with a promise too. Merry Christmas, wherever you are, and remember, sometimes, the most beautiful love stories start when the world stands still.